Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. Fruit spread entrepreneur Meghan Sussex has finally unveiled the first products from her lifestyle brand as ever, revealing prices and purchase details after weeks of anticipation. The line includes a raspberry spread in keepsake packaging for just $14, wildflower honey with honeycomb for only $28, and floral sprinkles for $15, which fans may recognize from her Netflix series with Love, Meghan. Comparisons are already being drawn to King Charles Highgrove Raspberry Preserve, which retails for a more modest $9 and change. Also included in the debut collection are herbal teas, lemon, ginger, peppermint, and hibiscus at $12 each, alongside a crepe mix and shortbread cookie mix, both priced at $14. The products all sold out quickly. Meghan kicked off the full-scale publicity push with a home video showing her and her mother, Doria Ragland, preparing a dessert in the kitchen of her Montecito mansion. The dish, dubbed Chantilly Lili, is named after her daughter, Princess Lilibet, who is sorta named after Queen Elizabeth, who would clearly be thrilled to know her pet nickname was being used to sell desserts. Meghan described it as so good and as special and sweet as she is, adding in her caption, "Goodness is moments away." In the meantime, enjoy the recipe for our Chantilly Lili, a delicious dessert named after our darling daughter. Writing in a newsletter to subscribers, Meghan said, "Of course you'll find the raspberry spread that started it all presented in keepsake packaging that you can repurpose to tuck away love notes or special treasures and to remember this pivotal moment with me. Think of it as our time capsule." To coincide with the launch, Meghan, who, along with husband Harry, left the UK to get away from the media, welcomed the New York Times into her home, telling the publication, "I need to work and I love to work," noting she's held jobs since the age of 13. Brushing off criticism that her Netflix series was out of touch, she reportedly gestured to the sweeping views of her estate and her sleeping dogs, asking, "Don't they know my life hasn't always been like this?" She also admitted she's not a professional cook, often falling back on frozen chicken nuggets, veggie burgers and tater tots when it's just her and the children at home. Meghan told followers in a newsletter, "Of course, you'll find the raspberry spread that started it all presented in keepsake packaging that you can repurpose to tuck away love notes or special treasures and to remember this pivotal moment with me. Think of it as our time capsule. I hope when you see what I've worked so hard to create, you're encouraged to know that whatever life brings, you can do it too. Your value, your creativity, your joy, that is you, as it's always been and always will be. You are you, as ever and forever." Eagle-eyed readers spotted a spelling mistake in the promotional email. The section inviting fans to follow the As Ever story included social media links, but the Instagram handle was misspelled as @AsEverOfficialI instead of the correct As Ever Official. Although the hyperlink itself worked, critics were quick to seize on the error, citing it as a glaring oversight from someone whose brand is built on curated aesthetics and polished presentation. One user on X wrote, "That attention to detail is on point as ever. Some intern is going to be reduced to tears over this." The launch comes at a turbulent time for the Sussexes as Prince Harry remains embroiled in a highly public dispute with Centre Bali, the charity he co-founded, which he abruptly quit last week, amid explosive allegations of misconduct and internal dysfunction. Meghan, however, has continued undeterred with her new venture. As Ever was originally called American Riviera Orchard, but the name was changed earlier this year following reported trademark setbacks. Meghan's mildly anticipated new podcast is expected to launch next week. Meghan celebrated the men behind her creative vision, and Prince Harry is notably not on the list. In a post shared to Instagram, Meghan gave a glowing shout-out to makeup artist Daniel Martin, website designer Ryan Sachs, and photographer Jake Rosenberg, calling them the fellas who have been with me on every creative endeavor for over a decade. "We know I love my girl squad, but these boys have been part of my team for what feels like forever," she wrote. "You have supported and believed in my creative vision since the TIG." While the message was effusive, many were quick to point out that Prince Harry, who made only a brief cameo in her Netflix series with Love, Meghan, was entirely absent from the tribute. The New York Times piece on Meghan was not exactly hard-hitting. The opening reads, "Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, is already anticipating pushback on her banana pudding." I know some people will be upset that I took out the wafers, she said, crushing Nilla wafers with a rolling pin rather than layering them in the vanilla pudding and sliced bananas, but I like them crumbled on top. We hate to inform Meghan that wafers will only be about the 27th biggest item she'll be criticized about this month. Via the Times, we learned that Meghan technically isn't selling jam, but rather fruit spreads because of FDA regulations. The New York Times eventually did come around, writing, "Why would someone who has for years endured the worst kind of public attention put herself back under the microscope? One reason, of course, is money." Of note, unless we missed it, the Times piece did not mention Meghan's mildly anticipated new podcast due out next week. More Palace in just a moment. As it has been a few seconds since the last time, Harry and Meghan are once again at the center of royal controversy, this time over not wafers but a wreath. At Prince Philip's funeral in April 2021, the couple were the only members of the royal family to include a press release with their floral tribute, a move critics quickly branded sickening and a PR stunt. Their wreath, designed by Cotswolds florist Willow Crossley, who had previously arranged flowers for their wedding and Archie's christening, featured a carefully curated selection of blooms, each chosen for a symbolic meaning. According to the Sussexes' statement, it included bear's breeches to honour Philip's Greek heritage, sea holly for his Royal Marines service, rosemary for remembrance, roses for his birth month, and lavender for devotion. The arrangement stood out among 8 more modest family tributes in St. George's Chapel and was accompanied by a handwritten card from Meghan, who remained in California due to her pregnancy. But while the sentiment may have been well-intentioned, many in royal circles and online were left unimpressed. Even Meghan's flower arranger had her own PR agency, noted royal biographer Robert Lacey. "Do you think you've got enough recognition for your wreath now, Meghan?" asked one sarcastic social media user. Another echoed the sentiment, "She just can't help herself. Me. It's all quite sickening." Lacey described the timing of the Sussexes' announcement as particularly poor. The Dean of Windsor was just addressing the final commendation to the congregation in the chapel when journalists' phones started to ping. Just before the end of the funeral service, it was another tweet from Omid Scobie passing on Harper's bizarre report on the sentimental tribute from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. The fanfare sharply contrasted with Prince Philip's own wishes for a no-fuss send-off. The Duke had famously said, "Just stick me in the back of a Land Rover and drive me to Windsor." His simple coffin was adorned only with his naval cap, sword, a flag representing his Greek and Danish roots, and flowers selected by the Queen. Even the Queen's tribute, a bouquet of lilies, roses, freesia, and sweet peas, was understated, with a handwritten note possibly signed Lilibet. Meghan and Harry's was described by one American commentator as the sort of party wreath you might put on your front door around Thanksgiving, not really a funeral wreath at all. Robert Lacey added, "The Sussexes' wreath could be seen leaning among the other 8 simple white and green family tributes in St. George's Chapel. It had already attracted some attention on account of its unconventional and rather autumnal pinkish-brown flowers." Harry has appointed a trusted former royal aide to the Invictus Games Foundation, just as tensions surrounding his departure from Centre Bali continue to simmer. According to the Daily Mail's Richard Eden, Nick Loughran, once Deputy Communications Secretary to the then Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, has joined the Invictus team as a trustee. Loughran, who now works as a communications specialist and co-founder of the consultancy Integra, is described by the Invictus Games as a professional focused on communications, reputation management, and social impact for businesses and individuals. A source told Eden that Harry knows he can trust Loughran, whose loyalty reportedly stretches back years. The two worked together during Harry's time as a senior royal, and Loughran's familiarity with the inner workings of the palace comms machine makes him a valuable addition to the embattled Duke's circle. Though the timing of Loughran's appointment has raised eyebrows given the ongoing chaos at Centre Bali, insiders insist the move is purely coincidental. And there you have it. I'd like to email us. Our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple, or the app of your choice, and leave us a nice review of 5 stars if you're enjoying the show. Don't forget you can catch a new series from Calaroga Shark Media called Signal Lost, and it's an espionage thriller based on real-world events. Like if the government had a conversation on the Signal app and it got into the wrong hands, what would happen? Check it out, Signal Lost. wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue. Good times.